everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 804. Lyon Relegated and Frank Downgraded. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, good to see you on the video screen and not in real life.
Yeah, it's true. We haven't spoken really since we last saw each other in person, so this is a bit of a change, even if it's a return to our normal setup.
Yeah, I see you're in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Looks
listeners
messy.
of the podcast will be delighted to know that we both dragged our microphones around on trips and never recorded an episode. So there's that.
Nope. No, we did not.
Yeah.
But we did have a exciting week of activities that maybe we can quickly recap for the listeners. I think just the main recap is the quote unquote stallion of the group, Vasilis.
Yeah. Well, the worst part about it too is he, for all his complaining about how the rest of us have got boring and that we weren't bringing the type of energy that he expected, and he's set on 5 a.m. night outs every night of the week. Which the issue I take with this is, as anyone who knows me, I've got no problems with going out till 5 a.m. And I know Vasilis doesn't either, but he can't go out till 5 a.m. and then function at 11 a.m. the next day. And so when you're on a trip like that, where every day involves some activity and being functional before 3 p.m, he can't be pushing for these nights out when he then also literally couldn't get in an Uber at noon on Tuesday.
And Wednesday even later.
Yeah. So you can't have it both ways. And that's the issue. But when we came back from Paris, he was supposed to fly to Prague for a wedding.
No. Oh no, what happened?
Well, first of all, he didn't realize, he thought that the accommodation was included in his wedding invitation. So he thought,
assume that. I love that assumption. If I ever, it's unfortunate that most of my destination wedding days are probably behind me, but I would love to have showed up to a destination wedding and been like, so where's my room?
Yeah. Well, he thought, and to make it worse, because it wasn't even the type of confusion of, they've blocked off this hotel, so I think they've paid for it. It was that he thought he was staying with the groom's cousin. And as it transpired, the idea was that he would stay in a hotel. And so when he realized that he had to stay in a hotel, he did the calculation and decided that he did not know this person well enough to justify paying for a hotel, which makes me question why he agreed to go to the wedding in the first place if your threshold is that low.
Wait, so now he didn't go to the wedding?
He did not go to the wedding. So, but on top of that, he was really sick when we got back. So he left me these voice notes, and in this croaky voice, they're incomprehensible. I would play them on the podcast, but honestly, no information will be derived from listening to them. So it's just these bizarre, almost to the point that I thought he was doing a bit with these voice notes that he was sending me. And then on Saturday, he sent me a video because we discussed maybe meeting up for a drink. He sent me a video of him in the same suit that he wore to Ascot and the pink tie that he wore on Tuesday to Ascot. And it was because he was virtually attending the wedding that he had then not gone to.
Oh, it's so good. He was so excited for the wedding.
Yeah. Well, he talked
to me for a while about it.
When he thought it was free accommodation.
Oh, I love that you think it's just a free accommodation. That is so amazing. I mean, getting back though to your croaky Vasilis, I think the revelation of the trip might have been that we found out all it takes is asking Vasilis to flip a switch in his brain upon where he can talk like a normal human being and everyone can completely understand and comprehend what he's saying. And he speaks at a much more intelligent level than I've ever heard him speak English. And then you can ask him to turn that switch back on and it becomes an incoherent ramble.
The thing I don't get about it is very revealing about him in two ways. One, that his argument for why he doesn't do it all the time is that it's tiring. But that what he doesn't realize is it's really tiring to focus and listen to him, and that you have to. A normal conversation with him involves asking him to repeat himself several times because you just, unless you are zoned in and have your sort of Vasilis brain switched on, you just won't get what he's talking about. So there's already that.
Which we can confirm is not just us, because there was a new person to the group who, when we mentioned this, said, "Oh, so I'm not the only one that can't understand him."
Like, I spend more time probably than anyone speaking English with Vasilis, and I still 30 to 40% of the time have to ask him to repeat himself. It's incredibly tiring and tiresome. And as I told him, what it results in is I kind of just zone him out for a lot of what he says. Like, it's just like, cool, good for you. And then we move on to the rest of the conversation. So already it's revealing that he's thinking, you do all the work. I'm not going to do any of the work. But also he knows how much people struggle to understand him. And he knows how frequently people don't understand him. And he would rather just talk and not be understood than put in effort and be understood. And that also is quite a revealing personality trait, where it's just like, the message I'm giving you isn't important. It's just important that I speak for a little bit. It's basically what he's telling us.
It's so good. It was crazy. And that was so fun. The other revelation I have of Vasilis is he loves to just go on his phone and look at old photos of mostly himself, but just like events in general. Like multiple times I caught him just scrolling through his photos app, just going like individually. And he has like AI photos of himself as like Captain America and Thor. Just if you look at the corner of your eye, you can see him just looking at pictures. AI generated pictures of him as a superhero. He'll just look at them for hours.
He loves the AI generated images. He loves them.
He does not just himself, which was funny. He was like, "Oh, this is my brother. Oh, this is Eddie." I think he had like one of you. Like he had like one of like everybody.
And the thing is, he just loves looking at his phone. I think we're all guilty, right, of spending too much time on our phones. And sometimes you have to put the conscious effort in of, hey, I'm in a group setting. Let me be present in the moment. Let me focus on the people that I'm speaking with. I say, as we're recording a podcast and you're staring at your phone. But
Sorry, I was just looking at AI images of myself as villains.
But he, like, for long periods of time, whether it's Instagram reels or images on his phone or old messages, he will just get lost in endless scrolling on his phone. It's really pretty impressive. It's terrifying in terms of just the brain rot that has clearly set in with him, but it's also pretty impressive. But yeah, I mean, he's a unique character. That's for sure.
Did we want to discuss any of his shenanigans he got up to?
I don't think so.
Should we leave that? Okay.
Yeah, I think this is probably enough Vasilis talk, considering only
people love Vasilis though.
0.2% of the listeners even know who he is. So it's.
I think all of our longtime listeners
they're familiar with stories.
Feel like they know who he is.
Yeah,
they know of a Vasilis.
The lore of Vasilis, but I mean, if you're surprised that he likes looking at AI generated images of himself as a superhero, this is the same guy who, when I dug up his old MySpace, had Optimus Prime listed as one of his heroes. So if you're going to have Optimus Prime as your hero, you're probably going to like yourself as a superhero.
Good. Anything else you want to touch on for the trip?
Well, let's see. We had two very contrasting days, I would say, from a betting perspective. A very, very good Tuesday, especially for some of us. nonstop winners for one of our most incoherent group members. And a Wednesday where we were really struggling to find a winner. One of our group, David, still did okay on Wednesday, but the rest of us mostly struggled. And then on top of it, just a killer heat, which I think was a big theme of Ascot. And I know that there's some of the backlash to the experience of last week has been controversies surrounding the dress codes and the fact that in the royal enclosure, people find it unfair that men have to keep their jackets on, and in those kind of hot conditions would like the ability to take them off. I'll be honest, I mean, I never took my suit jacket off we were not in the royal enclosure, but I did not take my jacket off. For me, my thought is once I've got a suit on and I know I'm sweating, is I would rather just sweat in my jacket than peel a jacket off and have a damp shirt underneath and then have to put a jacket on back onto it. Like the damage is done by the time I decide the jacket has to come off.
I took my jacket off for a good portion of the event, but I wasn't as hot. I think I was just in general hot. Like as long as you stood completely still in the shade with the breeze, it wasn't too bad.
Okay, sure. No, I mean, we also missed the hottest days, right? Like it only got hotter. The Tuesday was fine. I didn't find Tuesday to be.
Tuesday was fine because it had breeze. It had a decent breeze and a little bit of coverage.
Yeah. And now, admittedly, if you're in the kind of the Windsor enclosure, I think it is the lower tier, and you don't have
the cheap seats.
Yeah, and you don't have access to coverage, then either day would have been, or all 5 days would have been awful. But yeah, day one was bearable. It was warm but fine. Day two was tough. Like every time you went outside,
when you're not winning.
No, yeah, it's
maybe you don't feel as hot when you go outside to watch a race and your 20-1 shot comes in from the back and wins the race. You don't feel that sun as much.
I still think you do. I think you have a little bit of a pick me up, and then that lasts a couple minutes, and then you're right back to reality of, my God, it's hot and I'm tired. And that was the real thing. Is just I was so tired by the time we left. Just all of the energy had been set.
I was sun tired for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like I wasn't drenched in sweat and sort of uncomfortable because of that, but I was just really, really tired.
And you can tell, I mean, although most of our group actually didn't attend the races on the second day, those that did were definitely tired because we went to one pub and like kind of struggled to have a beer before closing. And then instantly everyone was like, okay, we're back to the hotel. And poor Vasilis was so excited to go out to this pub that he had found last year that stays open late, and no one wanted to participate.
Oh, and look, this is going to be the biggest challenge for you, but there was a little bit of a group discussion on the way back that next year there's a heavy vote in favor of extending the trip by 1 day so that the leaving date
the race is on Thursday too?
No more races. So that it's 2 days is enough. I think you and I would happily go 3 days. I don't think the rest of the group would.
It'll be like 11 on day 1, 4 on day 2, 2 on day 3.
Yeah, 1 on day 4. But
my corpse.
The group vote was go to London on Sunday, stay overnight in London, go to Guildford on Monday through to Thursday, go back to London Thursday night, stay in London, and then leave Friday. So you have a sort of recovery day in the UK so that you're not tired and then travel. And so that it also frees up time for one more tourist activity or one more night out. And you can kind of choose Wednesday night then as a rest night without it being too impactful on the trip.
I wouldn't have an issue with this, except the majority of the people that were left on this trip didn't go even to the races on the second day. So I don't know what the hell they had to recover from.
This is true. But they probably would have gone out.
They had a day of recovery. They didn't go to the races. They slept in. They hung out all day. And they met up for dinner and one fucking beer. How much more recovery day do you need?
That's why they had a lot of energy on Thursday, and they were disappointed to be going home. They were fully recharged at that point, and they wanted more.
Maybe they should just have more Jaeger bombs like the rest of us, and they'll have the energy for the next day.
Maybe. Maybe.
Speaking of, I took a long, hard think about this on my flight home. That could be the end of the double-digit Jaeger bomb shot days. That wake up the next day was one of the most brutal feelings I've ever had in my body. And I know it wasn't that we drank so much, because we've definitely drank a lot more in a day. And so it wasn't the alcohol. It was at least, honestly, we're not exaggerating, at least 8 Jaeger bombs we had.
Yeah, possibly a couple more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I would say,
here's the thing.
I would honestly say 10.
Here's the thing is, though, we did a little Vasilis recap. I think we got to do the Can Frank Still Hang recap, because pretty much every morning with you over the course of that trip was impacted by what you'd done the day before.
Yeah, a little rough.
It included you missing your train here in the first place. That included the grumpiest I've ever seen you when I tried to wake you up at 9:20 in the morning.
No. It was 8:35, and I had my alarm set for 8:45. I don't need people waking me up 10 minutes before my alarm.
The way you looked at me. So for listeners, you were staying in my apartment.
Part of it, guys, I did it. Part of it on purpose, because I do.
No,
really funny. Yeah, definitely did.
Yeah, the way to spin it that way. But for listeners, we had to catch our Eurostar, and we had discussed that we would leave my apartment at 9:30, and at 8:35, seemingly, I decided probably time to make sure Frank is up, and opened up the door to his bedroom, and he swiveled around to look at me, and you would have thought that I had just taken a shit on his bed by the way you were reacting to me going, "Hey, Frank, maybe it's time to get up now."
Do we know you didn't take a shit on my bed?
I mean, you might have taken one. That's based on how grumpy you were. But yeah, every day you were a little fragile.
Some tough recovery days there. Well, yeah, a little tough on recovery days. And I think for me, it's a little tougher sometimes, because I'm coming into it already, like, having 5 days of going out and like dinners and drinks and stuff like that. So I'm not coming in fresh. I'm coming in at like 75%, especially that time, because we had stayed out super late the night before. So I was probably coming in at like 60%, which isn't a good start. You don't want to get to Paris at 60% capacity.
Except our Paris section was very light.
It was.
We didn't have any of the usual late night outs.
No.
Friday night you were tucked away in bed by what?
Amazing.
2 a.m.
Could have been 2 hours earlier.
And could have been. And Saturday night, you were what? Midnight? You were in bed at 1 o'clock.
Let's do it.
So I mean, I'm sorry that life is so.
That's late. That's late for me.
I guess.
Since I've been back, I've been asleep before 10 every night. It's amazing. I've been up by 5:30.
This is the argument I never get on the early to bed people. Is you're just sleeping the same amount, but just waking up at a more boring time of the day.
No, and get to the gym by 6:30, out done by 8, in work by 8. Already have your workout done. It's beautiful.
Go to the gym at 9 p.m.
Oh, way too tired. You can't work out that late.
But you're not tired in the morning.
No, I feel great in the mornings.
Well, where was this attitude?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because based on, admittedly, a small sample size, but on the 6 days I spent with you, I think you'd be much more suited to 9 p.m. gym than 9 a.m. gym. Other than that, I guess we can do a little bit of a Ascot recap. Not race by race or anything like that, but maybe major storylines, big takeaways. It was a meeting that I suppose kind of lacked some star power when compared with recent years, seeing as I would say in most recent years we've had superstars pretty much every day, and sort of a few. And this time,
to be determined, maybe.
To be determined, but Field of Gold definitely the standout on the Tuesday, with a really striking performance and just sort of cementing its place.
Great race. I mean, that was a phenomenal win. Yeah. Super impressive.
Wednesday,
Ombudsman on
Ombudsman. I mean,
ombudsman. Why they got to make it so hard?
well, it's a pretty common word.
So maybe, but it's a little difficult to say. Ombudsman is came out of Royal Ascot as the highest rated horse out of
Yeah,
Royal Ascot.
I don't know how much ratings convert to superstardom, but I think the story of
Undefeated, right? Still.
yeah, I think personally I feel like the story of no, it lost at Sandown, a race before Ascot.
It did?
Yeah, finished second on the 29th of May as 5-4 favorite. Um, I think the story of Tuesday is Cinderella's dream, not flopping, but given how confident clearly Charlie Appleby was, but then also the market was to have, it 5-4 favorite. I think that's the bigger storyline from the Tuesday.
That was Wednesday.
I mean,
What?
yeah, because Fielder
Yeah.
Held Tuesday, like rather than a Budsman.
Definitely Wednesday because we lost money on that.
No, I know I'm not trying to have it too tied to
No, I
bets.
know. I'm saying that's how I remembered it was Wednesday.
Yeah. Thursday, I think you have two impressive performances. Obviously, Charles Darwin kind of dominating that opening race, the Norfolk Stakes.
And a lot of, I guess, and that was to kind of cap a lot of O'Brien juveniles doing very well. Because you had Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. He won the 2-year-old races.
and then the big story, Trollerman sort of dominating the Gold Cup, which again, it was a Gold Cup that maybe lacked over the previous years. We've been fortunate that between Kyprios and then Stradivarius before that, you've always had sort of a big dominant horse in coming into the Gold Cup. This one lacked that type of
Just thinking Stradivarius.
yeah, this one kind of lacked that star presence, but Trollerman maybe delivered on it.
Yeah. It was an impressive race. Like, again, you're right. Who knows what it was racing, but there was a point where you thought maybe a horse would start to pull with it, and then it just continued to find another gear and just pull further away and further away. I mean, like no horse ended up getting close.
Yeah. Friday, I think there's really again, wait and see.
Was there racing on Friday?
But no real star came out of it. And then Saturday, I think just dominated by the storyline surrounding Rebels Romance and just, as a 7-year-old winning a race at Ascot, kind of checking off the final box in terms of where it's run. William Buick called Rebels Romance his best friend. That was his.
I don't know if that's a slight to every other jockey he spends 6 hours a day with.
And like,
Shots
it was
fired at Ryan Moore.
it's a very touching thing. It's a 7-year-old horse. He's probably ridden it for the last 5 years, traveled the world riding it. It's probably made him $2 million, something, so I mean, that would be my best friend too.
And I mean, like traveling to races just for that race, just for that horse, almost to an extent for some of them. Going to a lot of countries to race, which is really neat. And that's a really cool story. It is literally like the world traveling horse. I mean, we've seen it win in America.
Yeah, twice.
And you've probably seen it win in France.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think it's very cool, and it's nice because flat racing, so often we don't get horses that hang around because they go to stud, and that's where they make the money. And so to have Rebels Romance be around for years, and I also think it's the way Rebels Romance wins races, which is it's not a dominant horse. It tends to kind of grind out victories, win in fairly close fashion a lot of the time, and so that also it's not. It seems like a knock on it to say that it's not sort of overpowering raw ability, but rather sort of tenacious drive to win. And that, people speak about horses that understand what they're doing and sort of want to win and have that fight in them. And I think Rebels Romance is an example of that. But it will be sad. Obviously, this is kind of coming to the end now for Rebels Romance. It will be sad not to have anything similar next year, but a nice story.
True grinder.
Yeah. Now, changing gears, I suppose, now that we've scared away all listeners who aren't interested in either Vasilis or horse racing.
or
Yeah.
or just us,
Or just, yeah, they're not just tuning in for our updates on days out.
our travel podcast.
Yeah, with no real travel details included there. You didn't get to what you didn't get to experience. Actually, final story from the trip. On our way back on the Eurostar back that you so rudely skipped out on to go home a day early. Our Eurostar was packed with people aged 20 to 25 traveling to Paris for Fête de la Musique / the Beyonce concert.
Boy,
It was a party train. It was incredibly
that
loud, and I don't
did
think that went
anyone
down.
get involved? Did anyone in our
No,
group kind of get into it? Oh,
I
but they
don't
were
think.
so refreshed and rested. Oh,
I
they
don't
weren't ready
think.
to go.
I mean, if you could have seen Olivier's face throughout that train ride, I'm surprised he didn't murder anyone. It was not. It did not go down well. I'll be honest. I slept for most of it, so I just put my AirPods in and went to sleep. But the rest of them were fairly annoyed.
So actually, I have a really good travel story in the exact same time frame as you taking that back. Purposely did not tell you this. I thought it would kind of be funny to say on the podcast. So on the way back, I had switched my flight to get the earlier flight to fly out of London instead of flying out of Paris the next day, and I got put into premium economy like I was, but they didn't have any aisle seats, so I was in like inside, like next to someone. And as you know, I always like the aisle seat because I have a medical condition. So I get up a lot and I walk around and I do squats and calf raises and everything because I'm afraid of getting another DVT. So I looked on the app and there was, at the time when I checked in, 7 open seats in Delta One. So in the class above. So I, at the check in, talked to the person, said, hey, listen, I've had a really rough trip. You guys have I've had 3 delays, a canceled flight. I missed the conference that I came for. I switched my flight into premium economy, but they didn't put me in an aisle. And now it looks like there are no aisles left for premium economy. Is there any way you guys could potentially upgrade me? The woman who checked me in said, let me check. She said, oh yeah, there's a bunch of Delta One seats. She's like, I can't do it here, but go talk to them at the desk and maybe they'll be able to do something. So I was like, all right, cool. I go to the desk. They first pull there aren't any available upgrades. And I go, no, I literally just talked to the woman to check it. And she showed me the seat chart and there's 7 open seats. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, there are, but like, we can't do an upgrade here. And I was like, I know you can do an upgrade because if people are on standby, you're going to put them in that seat. So just put me in that seat and then put a standby in my seat. Like, I know how this works. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. So I said, like, fuck it, whatever. I'll try it again when I get to the gate. So I get to the gate and I tried to pull the move. I thought it was hysterical. And this tells a lot about me. So we get there. I give them the same story. The woman says, unfortunately, we can't put you up there, blah, blah, blah. And I said, like, listen, like, I don't like being in that middle seat because I get up a lot. I was like, I get up like every 2 hours. I hate to be the annoying person who constantly asks the person in the aisle to get up, like, especially if they want to sleep because it's a long flight. I don't want to be an annoying passenger. I was like, is there anything you can do? And they're like, no, we can't do it. And I was like, I really, really need an aisle seat. And she's like, well, there aren't any in your class and we can't put you up into the the Delta One. She's like, there's some in main economy, but then you're gonna have to downgrade. She's like, do you want to downgrade your seat? And I was like, yeah, like I don't think you
She
understand. Like I
she
need
got
an
you there.
aisle seat.
She
And I was
got
like,
you there.
and then I had to follow through. So I was like, I need the aisle seat. Like that's how bad it is. Like, yeah, I'd be willing to do that. She's like, you'd be willing to downgrade from premium economy? Oh, it's to comfort plus. To comfort plus? And I was like, yeah, like I'm being genuine. Like I get up all the time. I have a medical condition. And she was like, oh, give me 1 sec. And then she goes and talks to the manager. And then she comes back and she's like, all right, we can downgrade you. And I was like, okay.
and presumably they don't give you anything in exchange for the downgrade. That's just
No.
thank you for overpaying for your ticket, sir.
Yep, pretty much. The only decent thing I'll say is I then got into the one that's like the no seat in front of you. So I actually did have like a good amount of leg room. So it wasn't actually the worst downgrade, except the food is a little worse.
You're
But
5'9". How much legroom do you need?
a lot. I'm 5'11 and a half, but I got the legs of a 6'3".
Here's the real thing. Like, let's eliminate the sunk cost here that you have invested in years of trying to accumulate miles with Delta and build your status with Delta. But realistically, based on the experience that you've now had with them over the last 10 days, with the handling of your canceled flights, plus that scenario, are you not questioning your Delta loyalty at this stage?
Well, they gave me $500 in Delta.
Whoa. Oh, in Delta, so you got to spend more money with them. Not so they didn't give you $500. They gave you
No.
the
They gave me
right to
500
spend
Delta.
more.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. That's about it. I mean, there's not much I can do. I'm in an airport now where 75% of the flights are Delta.
You say that, but
So it's
you will exclusively fly Delta, even when it's not the most.
yeah, because what's the difference at that point? Like, why would I waste miles on an airline that I'll never get any sort of status for?
I mean, no. See, this is because to me, the status only matters if the status is makes a huge difference when you have issues. Like that's the only time I want status is, hey, this isn't going right. You got to help me out here. The status, like when everything's rolling smoothly, who really cares? Like I can just book a seat and get extra leg room and plan accordingly for the things that I want or like on a flight. But I mean, I can understand having flying and sort of trying. I personally fly with different airlines every time I fly. I have no like loyalty program where all I want is best deal, fastest trip. That's all I care about. But the you have openly taken like routes to destinations that make no sense just because that's the only way you could do it through Delta.
Or I just won't fly.
Okay.
No, it's the status is beneficial for domestic, but internationally they don't do shit. And that's the annoying part. And I think Delta is actually pretty shitty in that because I know like other airlines they will upgrade people for international, but Delta has like a crazy no international upgrade. Like domestically, I get upgraded now with my status probably 2 out of every 3 flights. Like,
Who cares on a
60,
domestic upgrade?
70%. Well,
Like
you
on a
get
three,
food and stuff. You get a nicer
wow,
seat and food. You get a
for,
nicer seat.
on a 3 hour flight. I mean, yeah, in the rare circumstance where you're going coast to coast, not a flight that you
Yeah.
exactly do
Like
super
when I go to
often.
California in 2 weeks, I've been upgraded. That's like a 3.5 hour flight.
Well,
I don't know what to tell you then.
no, but this is just a difference of opinion on the benefit then of. I mean, we're really getting travel podcast here, but the benefit
Deep travel podcast app.
of airline loyalty programs, and I just think, looking from the outside, it just feels like a cult, and I don't quite get it. Because it's a combination is people accumulating miles for the sake of miles and upgrading status for the sake of status, but that doesn't
Well, I
really.
just used my miles too for 2
Yeah,
tickets.
sure. But you could have probably, I mean, you're in a unique circumstance because you don't pay for a lot of your flights. So the considerations that a normal person would have for most of the decisions that you take are very different. But if in our friend group, people who I know who pay for all of their flights, they'll be like, oh no, it's cool because my 11th flight was basically free because of all the miles that I've built up. It's like, or you could have flown with a different carrier and saved way more than the flight that you eventually got for free and had 3 flights for free if you just shopped
Do we need to
around
get
more
Olivier
aggressively.
on with his Air France loyalty?
Oh, he would never, he would murder me for even suggesting that he fly anyone other than Air France or Sky Team, I should say. He
Guy
will go
team, yeah.
other Sky Team members.
Which is Delta.
Yeah, sure. KLM, he doesn't mind, but no, you're both in it in different ways. he's probably more in it because he like actively researches ways to build XP through flights. So like he will know and consider doing like, oh, maybe I'll do this flight that's Paris to Helsinki to Warsaw back to Paris, where all I do is fly, but like it's a supercharged
Racks up.
XP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that flight gets me 17 XP and it only takes me 4 hours. You know, like he'll do stuff like that.
All right, Mr. Eurostar. I've never seen you take any other train.
Well, they're about to open up to competitive.
And we'll see what happens, won't we?
Oh, awful. I think Eurostar loyalty status is absolute dog shit. I take quite a lot of
It is
Eurostars.
bad. No, that is bad.
And
There's this shit.
I mean, to get to the higher status, I need, after this trip, this year I have taken 7 Eurostars, round trip Eurostars so far, which is not a crazy thing in June, but it's a reasonable amount to be over one a month. And that's included some last minute Eurostar purchases where I've paid astronomical sums for those Eurostars. So like considering it's a mile to like a point is based on a euro spent, I've racked up a lot of other people would take 20 trips without spending how much I've spent. And I'm still so far off the higher tier, which is the only tier that really offers any real benefits like lounge access and shifting to like any other train on the day of travel. Those
But I thought you have
things.
lounge access
Through my credit card, not through Eurostar.
Oh.
Like that's separate. I don't need any Eurostar status to get lounge access.
There you go.
So yeah, Eurostar can go and die. If Eurostar approached us and asked to sponsor this podcast, I would tell them no.
All right, let's shift off the travel. I don't want you ripping on Delta, okay?
Delta can't sponsor us either. I'm going on record.
Delta can definitely sponsor us. I'll pay Delta to sponsor us.
You'll downgrade.
I've been paying Delta
flight.
for 7 years to sponsor us.
Every flight, permanent downgrade to sponsor one episode.
Yeah. Long story short, I did appreciate her calling my bluff and then me having to own up to it. I had to own up to it.
You're probably Delta folklore at this stage. Like she is telling that story to everybody. She'll be like, hey, I
downgraded.
I called him on it. He said he needed leg room, medical condition. I told him, well, we can downgrade you to a lower class. And he knew I had him, and he had to say yes. And the hope in his eyes, I went away to talk, and he thought, oh, she's going to really believe my medical condition now, and she's going to come back and tell me she's actually upgraded me.
I do generally get up all the time.
Yeah, so do a lot of people on flights, Frank. Other news in the world of sport. We spoke about Aaron Rodgers. I've got one too. We spoke about Aaron Rodgers' marriage the other day, and then you sent me an article saying that his family believes that it might be a fake marriage and he's just wearing a wedding ring for no reason.
Fake news.
He also confirmed, or sort of confirmed, on the Pat McAfee show that this will be his final season. I don't know if I believe anything that Aaron Rodgers says, so he might play for another 5, but he signed a 1-year contract, and he's also terrible.
No, he said he felt great in 2024 and that his Achilles felt incredible. Those are quotes.
Do we have to? We haven't spoken about Bill Simmons in a while. Don't know if you listened to his breakdown of the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the NBA title in Game 7. Tyrese Haliburton ruptured his Achilles, and Bill Simmons seems to be hinting at it doesn't seem like Achilles injuries used to happen this much in the past. Why are they happening more? Conspiracy theory.
I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory, but it is true. I feel like a lot of high-profile athletes more recently have ruptured Achilles, and I remember that being an injury. But I'm sure that's not true. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that's just random.
No, it's sort of confirmation bias because, there's a couple of big names who've done it, and maybe there were quarterbacks in the past and they weren't as famous as Aaron Rodgers, or NBA players who weren't Kevin Durant or, Tyrese Haliburton. But it maybe is more common. I think that could be explained rather than workload. The implication from him was, well, they played too many games and the games are tougher. It might just be the way in which people move now, which is more dynamic, could result in more injuries. They also don't wear the types of shoes they wear now, I would say, are not as protective. Like the old clunky heavy shoes that they were wearing in the 90s probably protected your ankles a little bit better, but also made it harder to then rupture your Achilles because you just couldn't move them as well.
Maybe. So I actually had a Aaron Rodgers related question, because the 1 year, one and done story came out of the Pat McAfee show. And then the other thing he had said was he did confirm on the McAfee show that he was married, and that he didn't disclose his wife's identity, and then he wanted to keep his private life out of the public eye. And this is his quote. He says, "It's a sick society. I lived in the public eye for 20 years. I had a public relationship. How did that work out? Now I'm with somebody who's private, who doesn't want to be in the public eye, didn't sign up to be a celebrity, doesn't want to be part of it. My private life is my private life, and that's going to stay that way." Two comment and a question. One, I love the implication that the reason his previous relationship didn't work out was because the public ruined it, and not the fact that he's a fucking psycho. That's my comment. My question,
also, to further that comment, but either of the two previous relationships he could have been referring to, both of them were independently famous.
Yeah, already.
So you can't go from famous, enter a famous relationship, and then become unfamous. Like that doesn't work.
Yeah, and they're already famous, so like they're already used to that. So if they're in a relationship, nothing much is really changing there.
And we could point to a million. Well, let's give me a realistic number. I could probably point to 1,000 athletes that are as famous as Aaron Rodgers, where we know fundamentally nothing about whoever they're with. Just because they don't speak about it, the person isn't seeking fame, and then no one cares that much.
And again, I think we've discussed this on maybe a previous podcast, but this is coming from the guy who is literally on the Pat McAfee talking about this, does a weekly podcast with Pat McAfee, had a Netflix special about his crazy shit that he does, that he approved and okayed and is probably an executive producer on. So like, you want to say you're private, but then you do very public things to be in the public eye purposefully. That annoys me.
Well, including, right, look, if you were just to offend him, you could say him going on the Pat McAfee show to just talk about football. That isn't him opening up his private life. But in addition to going on the Pat McAfee show to just talk about football, he also speaks about vaccines, his political opinions, how he leads his life. And so once you start to be a semi-open book, it's hard to decide which chapters of your life are then unreadable. And he is trying to have his cake and eat it too on this one, of like, no, when I want to have an opinion on something, all of you need to listen to me and be interested. But when I don't want to talk about it, you all just need to go away and not pay attention to me.
And I guess my question then is just a larger question on the whole, in that athletes get very large sums of money to be in the entertainment industry. Is having to be in the spotlight part of the price?
Yeah. I mean, I think, sure, right? I think there's a balance there, right? There should still be boundaries. There are ways in which you can be hounded and harassed that are not acceptable. It's not a carte blanche for people to know everything about you and, ask for your autograph even at every moment in time. Like, I see nothing wrong with someone saying, "Hey, I'm eating a meal. I don't want to sign autographs right now. But when I leave, I'll sign an autograph. I'll take a picture." That's the cost of being famous, and the benefit of that is all of the money and all of the cool things you get to do. That's the trade-off. That, like anything in life, there's some shitty parts to it. And I think most people would happily have the fame. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's weird. I'm sure it's uncomfortable to know that anytime you go to a restaurant or bar, people are looking at you, taking photos of you, videoing you, and you kind of have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. Admittedly, as Aaron Rodgers, he can escape that by just leaving the United States at any point. You know what I mean? Like, if Aaron Rodgers goes and lives in Spain, he's not getting a lot of attention. So he can retire and disappear very, very easily. But I am sympathetic to some of the downsides of fame, but I think it's a transaction that most people would accept. And also, it's like a superpower, right? We've spoken about it before. The ability to make people's day and make people happy. Like, what an incredible gift to have that hey, I could just walk into that bar right now and say hello to a bunch of people, and that would be the story they tell people for months, if not years. And they would always, oh, he was such a cool guy. Oh, he said hello and he took some pictures with us. Like, really, you have to do absolutely nothing to come across as nice and cool and to make people very, very happy. And that is genuinely a superpower.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, tell us again about the story when you met the guys from the Big Chill podcast.
People tell those stories every day of the year.
Except they just call us Frank and Eddie.
Look, I've had more moments of notoriety or fame, but to draw on some recent experience, when we walk into the Stag in Ascot and people are responding that to being like, the American guys who buy the Jaeger bombs are back. Oh, I've got to meet you. Like, that's a small glimpse into what it's like to be an NFL superstar.
It's true.
Boy,
It's
is
like
it
that
good.
is like it's the lowest level of the glimpse into what it's like to be like
Genuinely.
a professional athlete. Yeah.
I'm kind of joking, but it is still, you're walking into somewhere and someone who's never met you has just heard about you and is excited to meet you and happy that you're there.
Yeah. So happy that you're there. Buys you, instantly gets you a drink. You know, that's a definite, like, and it's from an athlete perspective, it's one of those things where it's, you get so much free stuff, but you don't actually need the free stuff. We're half like that in that we get the free stuff, but unlike the athlete, we don't have the money to get it ourselves. So it is much appreciated. So maybe we appreciate it more.
We can afford a drink, Frank.
Well, not after Wednesday.
And also, it's also a little bit like an athlete experience where it's pleasant and then it maybe goes on a tiny bit too long and the handshake lasts an awkward length of time. So you can also get that. It's hard to get away, but still you walk away from it feeling better about yourselves. And that other person goes, man, those guys were cool. They did a shot with me and they said hello and it seemed like they wanted to speak to me for 35 seconds.
Yeah. Sometimes it just goes on too long and you watch some random guy throw up in his own pint glass and have to run away.
And that's why Aaron Rodgers is retiring.
My story was actually European football related, Eddie. And that was about a French team you might know, which according to ESPN, it's the French giant Lyon has been relegated to Ligue 2 over financial issues.
Yeah. I mean, you know my takes on the financial fair play rules and the financial assessment. You know, Lyon have sold a few players this summer, which obviously was in a desperate attempt to kind of salvage their finances. But I just think there's an inconsistencies in the ways in which financial rules are applied across Europe, and that Lyon are being punished in a way that they probably should be. But at the same time, other clubs will get away with being in very similar circumstances or will find illegal solutions that allow them to avoid the ultimate penalty that Lyon has suffered. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, they're now owned by an American group, right?
I believe so, yes.
Not a good look. It's the group that has like a big stake in Crystal Palace.
Yeah. That's Woody Johnson has just bought the stake in Crystal Palace, the New York Jets owner.
Okay.
He's the one, he just literally this week increased his share in Crystal Palace. This is, Lyon is owned by John Textor.
Yeah, there we go. CEO of FaceBank.
That famous company. Oh, close. So close to being a well-recognized company.
Well, he's the former executive chairman of Fubo TV as well.
Oh, wow. Because when I think Fubo, but that's Fubo TV.
I know.
Fubo. But yeah, no, he's. I
mean, it's crazy to think that would be like, to me, that's almost, well, It's not quite the equivalent of Man City because they're not that good, but it's maybe the equivalent of
Spurs.
Yeah. But not finishing 16th. If Spurs had finished in the top 6 again.
Yeah, it's maybe a bit of a compliment to Spurs because Lyon have had moments where they've been the dominant side in French football. I mean, they won
Closer like Chelsea.
2002 to 2008. They won 7 consecutive titles. They were the PSG of the 2000s in terms of the stranglehold they had on Ligue. They are, but they've never had the type of financial backing that say Chelsea would have. It's tough to think of who the kind of comparison would be. Arsenal probably in some ways, and that you could point to modern history when they've had a pretty dominant spell, and then they've consistently since then been kind of there or thereabouts, like maybe a little mediocre at times, but also competitive in cups in Europe and kind of sometimes threatening to be involved in title races. Produce some really good players. So yeah, they're probably Arsenal. That's probably the fairest comparison when looking at the English footballing landscape. But yeah, no, I mean it's sad, and I think it's going to become increasingly common, right? The reality, the economics of football do not make sense, and the difference between the have and the have-nots and the Club World Cup that's going on right now is only increasing that gap, because you're going to get a handful of clubs who are being handed huge cash injections, whilst the rest try and figure out how they can comply with existing regulations and how they can then compete with those clubs in terms of the salaries and the transfer fees that they offer. It's a losing game for most of the clubs in Europe. But I mean, there's no way to fix it, is the unfortunate thing, because the players are not going to accept less money. Like, that is never going to happen. And there's no way. I think we've probably squeezed all the juice out of football that we can. Like, there are no magical untapped revenue streams that are going to suddenly appear. There's nothing you can do. It's just probably there are too many football clubs then, and we'll lose some of them, and then that will be it. And then we'll have a European Super League through just the fact that there are only 35 clubs left.
I mean, what's crazy to think about is a lot of people discount the Europa League and, like, oh, who cares? I don't want to be in Europa, blah, blah, blah. Lyon, I think, lost to Manchester United in the quarters or the semis. Had they won and won out, they'd be in Champions League and they'd have a much higher influx of money right now that they would probably still be alive in League One.
It probably would have saved them, either just knowing that they had the Champions League revenue, or at least being able to borrow against that future revenue. Probably
that's crazy.
Would have saved them. So yeah, you can point to that collapse in extra time against Manchester United as being the thing that saw them relegated. I mean, what a roller coaster for not friend of the podcast, but friend. Well, he does listen occasionally. Phil, who had a rough Tuesday in terms of his spirit, but a good Tuesday in terms of his wallet. He's a Lyon supporter, so.
Oh boy. Maybe he can give his winnings to Lyon to offset some of these costs.
Maybe that's why he was so desperate on Tuesday. He was just trying to get that extra $2.5 billion out of somewhere.
We were chasing hundreds. Phil was chasing millions.
Hundreds of millions. But yeah, no, sad story. And yeah, I mean, it makes Ligue 1 even less interesting next year.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's most unfortunate for the entire league because it makes it one less decent club there now.
Yeah. Manchester City must be kicking themselves. I mean, they signed Ryan Cherky. They could have probably signed him for 50% less had they waited a couple weeks.
I don't think they're really caring until they get relegated because of financial fair play.
Yeah, also probably
what a domino effect that would be if indirectly Manchester United beating Lyon in the Europa League then costs City a demotion because they overpaid on a player.
Now I'll have to wait and see. Other sports news to discuss?
I really don't have much. I mean, that was some of the main talking points. I think I saw some clickbait. What was the funny clickbait I saw? I can't remember. Oh, shit. I can't remember.
Well, in cricket news, which we occasionally tap into, England pulled off a pretty remarkable chase in the first test against India. They managed to score, basically 350 runs on the final day, but chased down 373 for 5 in order to win the test, and did so comfortably. Could have chased an additional 100 runs probably had they really needed to. The weather held off just enough. That was the only thing that made it look as if maybe they might be able to, they might have been in trouble because it did rain at some point. But really remarkable.
Yeah, nice
Second highest run chase for England in their history, the highest being a couple of years ago, also against India. So,
I guess speaking of the FIFA World Cup, have you been super excited about that? Club World Cup. I don't want to say FIFA World Cup.
I could not care less. Like, don't get me wrong, I've watched a couple of matches just because it's still nice to put on sport from time to time. And like when we were in England, we watched one or two because they were on in the pub. So it's not as if I've totally ignored what's been going on, but I really have zero interest. And I mean, I think that's, we get the disparity in terms of the quality of the teams is remarkable. I hate the people who are pointing to like, well, Brazilian teams are undefeated and it shows that the gap between Europe and South America is not that great. Or it's because they're in their season and the European clubs, this should be their time off and the players give absolutely no shits. Whereas at least the South American players feel like they have a point to prove against these bigger European teams. I mean, for all the crowing of the performances about these South American teams, where is the celebration of Boca Juniors' famous 1-1 draw with Auckland City tonight? Oh boy, what a statement for Argentinian
Didn't Bayern
football.
Munich beat Auckland football like 10-0?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, the scoreline's a little bit misleading in this one because Boca Juniors did have 41 shots, so they made worse by the fact that their only goal was an own goal. So they had 41 attempts at goal and managed to score none of them, which is pretty remarkable in its own.
Yeah, a lot of weird matches. And you can tell some of the players just really don't care. I mean, why would they? Like you said, it's kind of their off season. A nice little bonus, but what's the difference?
The financial incentive can be the only reason you could tell them that they care.
But for some of these players, like, do they really care about
so much money?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that you would be at the stage of just let me go on holiday. Like I just want to spend time with my family and I just want to have a break from football and I just want to recharge. I don't care about the extra £5 million because I earn enough money that I'm not really counting how much money comes into my bank account anyway. So this is just for my accountant to deal with, which is not that exciting. But yeah, it's just a joke. Like it's a joke in terms of making the players play that much football. It's a joke in the expectation that supporters and fans are supposed to pay attention to this much football. Like I love watching sport every day. I love watching tons of football across tons of different competitions. And even I am at saturation point when it comes to this tournament. Like even if you stuck Blackburn into it, I still wouldn't care. Like it just would not excite me. So will I watch a couple of matches? Because if I turn the TV on, it happens to be on, sure. But for example, I really enjoyed watching the cricket today. Wimbledon starts next week. We've just had the end of the Stanley Cup and the NBA finals. I did not need more sport to stick into June. The Tour de, for me, the Tour de France starts in, when I say for me, I'm not competing, but as in to watch.
No, you'll be at Wimbledon.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'd hold my own in that competition way better than I would in the Tour de France. That wouldn't even be one stage completion.
I guess shifting away from sports, because there really isn't much going on right now except a subpar club championship. On the flight back, I only watched one new movie, I should say. I did watch A Born Identity. Just I hadn't seen it in a while. Kind of missed it. Still holds up. So good. I watched the new Jason Statham movie, A Working Man. It is
Not even heard of
amazing.
this.
Me neither. I had no idea it existed until it popped up and in like the new releases of Delta. It is amazing how many ways they find to just get Jason Statham to be on some sort of secret mission to just beat the shit out of people. Like it is quite humorous. Now it has to be like an inside joke of he just waits for a new script to come in with like a, hey, what about this? What if you are the manager of a construction company and the construction company owner's daughter gets abducted and you were actually a secret spy back in your day who's now an honest construction manager, but you're going to go back in the game to find this woman in the streets of Chicago. I love it. He's like, that's a good one. I'm in. And that's it. It is literally 10 minutes of a backstory and then him just instantly beating the shit out of Russian mafia.
To be fair, they didn't put much more effort into The Accountant too. So, like I think as audiences we've just lowered our expectations a lot for what we expect from movies now.
I mean, last year was The Beekeeper. I don't know if you saw that one. Also, that was
I
the
saw
Jason
bits
Statham
of
of
The Beekeeper.
2024. It was okay. The Beekeeper was better than this one. This
It's
one
just
was
also,
just a straight action like nonsense. It was kind of like Taken, but with Jason Statham and taking place in Chicago.
and I'm not just saying this just because we've just mentioned The Accountant and now The Beekeeper, because if I put a bit more thought into it, I'd be able to think of like 1,000 movies like this that have come out in the last 10, 15 years. Maybe we can ditch the premise of this guy has a pretty boring, normal sounding job, but he's also one of the most dangerous men on earth.
We
Like
just named 3 movies.
yes, Taxi Driver, like not Taxi with Jason Statham. Was that it? No, whatever the delivery driver was, the one with him.
Yeah. The Transporter.
Transporter. Yeah. Like there's a lot of these movies where it's all kind of the same idea. Like it's as if you asked AI, like, think of a fairly boring but kind of interesting daily occupation and combine that with a SEAL Team 6, like former SEAL Team 6 killer.
Yeah.
Write script. Well, I haven't watched any new movies really, but I did watch the Oceangate documentary on Netflix, the Titan,
Oceangate.
the submarine that imploded on its way to the Titanic 2 years ago.
That
Pretty
was
interesting.
3 years ago?
2 years ago.
Oh.
2020, 2023. Oh boy, nearly
Didn't think
nearly
time was going
existential.
that quick.
Pretty interesting.
All right, we're good.
Not a lot of people look good in it, I have to say. Even the people who are, there's a couple whistleblowers who got out early, but the rest of them who are like, I was on board until this happened. It was like, there was a lot of red flags before you decided that things were not going well here. Like you were severely underqualified for the position that you had and everything seemed to be wrong. And yet you still were okay with it until a certain point. Like
Let
one
me
of the
ask you this.
girls.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Let me ask you this real quick because this was a story that really didn't interest me. I thought it was just like, to me, it was kind of like, why would you want to do that? Like who's crazy enough to get into a tiny little piece of metal and go all the way down the bottom of the ocean? But had they had many successful trips?
Yeah, I think they'd gone to the Titanic 10 or 11 times.
That same one.
And that's, yeah, I think they had to change the hull once because it cracked. But
Boy,
yeah, they had,
they were lucky that one.
yeah, but they had done it. This was not the
Okay.
first attempt.
Okay. And it wasn't like the second or third, though.
No. But that was,
Okay.
that's part of the issue is because all of the experts, like they successfully did it and they said, proof of concept, there we go, we're good to go. And all of the experts said, no, there's a fatal flaw in your design. And we don't know exactly when there will be something catastrophic, but at some point something catastrophic is going to happen. And they were basically encouraged by the success, even though people were telling them that they shouldn't have been. And ultimately it ended the way that people told them.
How many times would it had to have been successfully accomplished before you would have attempted to do it?
A billion. Like it literally, I've been in a submarine once. I did as a kid, maybe when I was 10 or 11. We went to Hawaii and did like a submarine in Pearl Harbor, which was not that deep. Like, I think we were deep enough, we were shallow enough that theoretically, had something gone wrong, you could have swum to the surface. Like, it wouldn't have been a pleasant experience. And of
Yeah.
course, you could have been trapped in the submarine. But like, assuming you could have escaped on your own and been okay. I was young enough. At 10, 11, I think it just didn't bother me. I don't think I would do that now. But the idea of going that deep, never. And especially because with the way that submarine was configured, they like bolted you into it. So there was no, like, you had to have someone external let you out in order to be able to get out. So even if you just, something went wrong and then you were cast adrift in the ocean, you would have just died inside of it. Like, they would have had to have found, you know what I mean? Just if that had happened, then
Yeah.
you were screwed. Not even being squeezed into mist.
All right, let me reverse it. What if it were going up to space?
You know, I'm not an explorer. It doesn't. I don't need it.
I
I
like
don't need
that.
it. I think my tombstone could say, "Boldly go where everyone has gone before."
I'm not an explorer.
That's fine by me. You know, I don't need to be breaking boundaries on anything I do. So no, space doesn't interest me at all. Again, I'm sure if I were somehow teleported there, it would be magnificent. I'm not denying. Same, I'm sure being at the bottom of the ocean is crazy. I'm sure it's
No, I think space is way better. I'd much rather go to space than go to the bottom of the ocean. Just the ability to like see Earth from space would be really cool.
I
That'd
think
be
in some
crazy.
ways, because you see more at the bottom of the ocean. Like space, okay, you
Yeah,
look back at Earth, but after the look, aside from the look back at Earth experience, you're just
to
seeing.
land on something.
Oh, okay, well, now we're going to that
Yeah,
because that's not a fair comparison of, let's say, International Space Station or
or
bottom of,
or the Titanic.
yeah. But you get to see the Titanic plus all the fish and other creatures at the bottom of the ocean, and on your way down, you
I think I'd
see
rather do
more.
space.
I
I
probably
think it would
would.
also be cool, like the feeling of space, like get to be in space and like zero gravity and stuff. That'd be cool.
I mean, this is the thing you have to ask. If you were at a dinner party and one person said, "I've been to the International Space Station," and the other person said, "I've been down to the Titanic," who's getting more interest and who's getting asked more questions?
It's got to be close, but probably the Titanic because less people have done it. And Titanic's slightly unfair because it has like an enormous, like random backstory of being an amazing movie by James Cameron and
That's
being
the thing.
like, yes, 100%. You are you telling me there's not at least one person at that dinner party that's like, did you find the necklace down there? Fuck, I would bet 50% of the people say it.
But Titanic's fair compared to the International Space Station, though, because otherwise you can go to space without doing anything cool. Like, you can, as our friend Olivier would routinely tell us in terms of what the definition, how the definition of space can vary, you can just be in an aircraft that goes pretty high and you technically go to space. That's not that cool of a story, just to kind of get out of Earth's atmosphere. But I don't know. I think Titanic gets more questions than the International Space Station.
It probably does because of Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet.
I think they made the movie because people were interested in the Titanic. I don't think the movie made people interested in the Titanic.
I think you're
And
right. No, I'll give you this. I think you're right in that first statement. But then I think the next statement should be, but then the movie made Titanic that much more famous.
maybe for our generation, I'm not sure 20-year-olds are still being
But I'm not going to
impacted by.
dinner. I'm not going to a dinner party with 20-year-olds.
That's where you're
The
going
fuck
wrong,
dinner
Frank.
party am I going with 20-year-olds?
But
What is this? What are we getting? Uber Eats?
I think
I
that
think you're
also,
right. I think the
I think the
Titanic gets more.
Oceangate disaster too now would lead to even more questions. Like, how did you get there? Did you feel unsafe? Was your opinion changed? It would be like going to space a year after Challenger. And I think people are
Or
asking
Apollo
you way
13.
more. Yeah, okay. But I think
I'll
Challenger
be a
is
little
better.
more uplifting. I'll be a
Yeah.
little more uplifting in my example.
Let's go Challenger, complete disaster. I think a lot more people are asking you questions at that time. Whereas now I think people almost blasé about space travel.
Yeah, except for SpaceX, which just blew up again.
Yeah, but not with people on it.
Yeah, no.
Just tanking their share price. No, it's worth watching. It's only like 90 minutes. I will say I'm not exactly in the I'm so fascinated by the Titanic or I'm so fascinated by this disaster. Because I agree with you. I think the people who were doing this were kind of insane. And the more you learn about it, the more insane you had to be to agree to go on it. Because I feel like if you'd just shown me it, I would have gone, no chance. Like, give me my money back. Thank you. Like, this is so stupid. Like, this would be the equivalent of showing up and Vasilis being like, I can get you into the air. And then he just has like cardboard with feathers strapped to his arms. and and you're like, wow, give it a go. He's
Only
confident.
issue is you can't understand what he's telling you. So you just trust him.
That's part of it though. It's the barrier to entry on the terminology. And like there's so many things. So for example, they weren't really licensed to do this. So every person who ever went on a dive with them, they weren't able to call you a sort of a passenger. They had to assign you a role on the mission so that you weren't
Jesus.
otherwise. It's
How
like
is
as
that
if you
not a
got
red flag? Like
it's
if
as
anyone
if
asks you, you're the flight attendant.
yes, it's as if every Delta flight you got onto, like, welcome back, Captain Duca. Thank you for
If
choosing
anyone asks,
Delta.
you're here to restock the sodas.
Yes. And if anyone looks, get up from your seat. This is why we gave you an aisle seat. You got to restock them fast.
It's time for you to take that ILC priority into practice.
But yeah, no, it's insane.
That is crazy.
Oh, one other piece of news. We spoke
I
about.
almost watched it real quick. I almost watched the Osama bin Laden one. A lot of people have said that's a really good documentary on Netflix. I've not gotten around to that yet. I might pop that on. I don't know. I mean, the thing for me is I don't know how much more information there is than what I didn't experience when it happened. And also watching Zero Dark 30.
Yeah, I mean, there's more about his life, right? But I read The Looming Towers, saw the movie too, but the book is pretty detailed. I don't know if, because I'm fascinated by 9/11, but I'm not fascinated by Osama bin
Boy.
Laden. No, but you know what I mean? Like, I consume every year or at the beginning of September, like 6 9/11 documentaries. I don't have that much interest in Osama bin Laden. But yeah, but we did on a previous episode, we spoke about Stick. In
Yeah.
person, you
Are you
said we
caught up?
maybe have to. No, I'm not. Because you said in person that maybe we had to retract some of the compliments we had paid to Stick. But we do have to retract one of the statements we made because I saw an interview with the Stick cast. And we had
Oh,
said,
no.
like,
Tell me the
what a
kid
good.
doesn't really swing.
No, he does really swing, but he'd never played golf before
Wow.
the TV show. That's his real
That kid's
swing.
a
But like,
hell of a fucking actor.
yeah. Now it was
That
interesting
kid is a method actor. Sign him up. He's going
because
places.
the article I then read was both complimentary to him because, like us, they said, "Wow, he has a really nice looking swing." So anyone who watched this would have thought. But then they did come up with a theory that, and I don't know where I fall on this, but that him never having played golf maybe then made it easier to teach him a good golf swing because all you had to teach him was what visually looks like a golf swing, not the outcome didn't
Actually
matter.
hitting it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like where you didn't have to undo someone's bad habits because they tried to make themselves good at golf. And you just need to say, like, rotate your hips now. Like, keep like, drop your hands.
Yeah. Did they say that he can play golf, though? Now?
No, I don't think so. Just got a really good looking swing.
I mean, that would be the interesting part is like, can he go to a driving range and actually hit some decent balls?
No, I think we've experienced what this is like. That's like the time we got that American guy to show up to our softball game and he did like the bat twirls and everything looked really great. And then he just Then he just struck out. But like he looked the part. He looked like Barry Bonds had
Well,
just
in
stepped up to
fairness,
the
Tim
plate.
does that a lot of the time.
Also true. Tim hit some home runs. You want to know a really good
Well,
story? So
he's
softball
he's
team
going
update.
out with a bang.
He did hit. Well, now we beat a team 29-14, so there were a lot of home runs. The previous game,
Lost the other game.
we forfeited the other game because we didn't have enough players show up in time. It led to some drama with me having some arguments with the tournament organizers and some pretty loud arguments with some of our team members. But I got so frustrated after one of the arguments with one of our team members who was telling me that I was ruining it for everybody else. That when I went up for my at bat, I decided, fuck all these guys. I have no interest anymore. I'm going to bunt. So I laid down a bunt, pretty good bunt, down the third base line. I was going to beat the throw out to first base. The guy took on the throw anyway and threw it a little wide at first base. So I went to second on the overthrow and then decided, you know what, fuck it, I think I can get to third. Went to third. At that point, they kind of messed up the relay throw, and I think they were confused by the fact that I'd gone to third. So then there was just a couple people kind of looking around, not knowing where to throw it. So I decided, I'm going home. So I put my head down and just decided to go home. I'm going to say the catcher got the ball when I was maybe 5 steps away from home plate.
Boy.
And at that point, I got to make a decision as to whether I did the honorable thing and just gave myself up, or if I decided I was going to just put my head down and keep running. And I was so pissed.
Wait. I hope you ate the bluff and got demoted back to economy seating.
No. I decided, fuck it. I'm so pissed off with this guy, all these guys. And you know what? This little Japanese catcher has done nothing to me, but he's about to get the wrath of my frustration. So I just kept going and made brief eye contact with him. And at that moment in time, he had a decision to make. And he decided, you know what he decided to do? Step away from home plate and let me run through.
Get out of the way.
So I got
Did
it
he even
inside
try and tag you?
He like tagged me a step after home base. I put my foot down and then he kind of just stuck the glove out. He went to the side and he stuck his glove out and tagged me right after. I didn't even realize it'd been called safe because I was just so annoyed by the entire situation. But technically I've got an inside the park bunt home run on my resume.
And scared a catcher into moving out of the way and giving you home plate.
And also the analysis from the guy who was coaching third base on our team, which was, I thought you were going to truck him. That was like watching a 2-ton train decide it wasn't going to be able to put the brakes on before running into a wall.
That is amazing. Oh, that's so funny. I wish I could have saw that. I wish someone got that on camera.
I mean, I don't know how they didn't because it was a bunt that went round all the way around. So someone could have at some point decided it was reasonably interesting. But yeah, we won both games, forfeited one of them. And the team is slowly dying, as is the tournament.
Oh, so, too soon, Eddie.
Well, I gave that analysis to the tournament organizers.
All right, I think with that, we might have to call it a day.
Sounds good.
I guess I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.